right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JD podcast. Today is going to be an awesome episode. This is really, really cool. I have James Simmons and Charli Octavia. Sorry, I think I asked that yesterday. All right, Octavia. I might get that wrong a couple more times, but these two guys are probably some of the most well-recognized photographers in Perth. I don't think James Simmons needs much of an introduction. James Simmons is quite renowned as one of the probably most creative and artistically talented photographers in Perth. I think you've probably got a really good reputation as well amongst photographers. Every guest I've been on, as soon as a wedding comes up, it's like Simmons. It's like your brand name is so established within the wedding industry. So definitely interested to talk about your journey and how you got to that point. Charli, your works are really amazing. I really like your interplay of shadows and highlights. That's really cool. You kind of bring a bit of European style into the Perth scene as well. So yeah, you're kind of like, I don't know, editorial would be the word, I guess.
I call it wedatorial.
Wedatorial, that's a good one. All right, so I'm not going to talk much more. I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves. Let's have a look. We got anyone jumping in? We got PD Visions. What's up, man? Chuck some questions in. Like, dude, we got James Simmons and Charli in here. Utilize that. Ask them some questions as the viewers come in. So, James, go for it, man. When did you first pick up a camera?
Thanks for the introduction, mate. I'm not sure I'll be able to squeeze my ego-filled head out of the doorway after all that. So, it's really nice to be here, mate. But yeah, I guess I picked up a camera kind of a little bit later on, like in my journey, I suppose. So it did. The seed was planted pretty early on.
Just keep talking.
My mum was a photography teacher at one point, and I got exposed to the dark room and things like that, and. Growing up surfing around Margaret River, it was all an adventurous sort of experience, and some friends had cameras, and we'd take turns like photographing each other with like disposable cameras from the water and things like that, and that really kind of set things in motion. And I went and lived in London for a couple of years, and I got my first 1 megapixel Minolta point and shoot, and then kind of documented the whole thing, and then that passion grew, I suppose, and came to a bit of a turning point in my life when I had a pretty severe surfing injury.
Hold that up. Show the camera.
Yeah.
Can you see it? Yeah, that's gnarly. That is crazy.
A scar there and 2 metal plates. There's a broken arm.
Yeah.
From the box down in Margaret River. And
so for those of you who don't know, Margaret River is one of the heaviest surf destinations in the world. The World Surf Tour goes there every year. James grew up down there surfing what we call slabs, which are just fucked up waves. The box is one of the scariest waves I think I've ever seen. Outer reef, heavy, kind of slams you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty solid. It's pretty scary stuff, but it looks like child's play in this day and age with all of the monster slabs that people are towing into and doing freakish things. So it looks playful on footage, but it's pretty savage.
Now it's a surfing podcast.
We should pause there. So yeah, great. First time picked up a camera. How did that go?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Similar to yourself, I actually used to hang out with a girl who used to study photography at Curtin.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but a bit before your time of being there.
Way, we got our drinks.
Yeah, don't forget that. You're going to need that.
Guys.
Cheers.
We're on the old fashions, early old fashions.
And the matcha.
Had to. Let me know what you think. Let's have a look.
Nice, well done.
You like it?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. There you go.
I won't blend the two just yet. But yeah, and so I was sort of like, just observing her journey, and I guess that's when I started to get into photography myself, just through her encouragement. And I shot a friend's wedding, I think back when I was like 16 or 17. And that's, the first time I picked up a camera, which, was
17
I was an
years
infant.
old. Wow.
Probably 16 or 17,
16.
yeah.
That's amazing. I shot my first wedding, I would have been 18. And then I kind of just slowly pieced away at the photography career over time. It's funny how that works, eh? And then you just kind of end up in, then you're shooting it all the time. How was that transition for you guys, I guess, going from like a hobby to working?
Well, I was definitely not 16 when I did anything serious with a camera. So you guys are braver than I am, either that or just super naive to what it actually took. I started studying at like 26. So I was late 20s by the time, I dove in. I shot my cousin's wedding as my first one. And yeah, just for free. It was probably my second year at uni.
Yep.
And I picked up a job with a portrait studio, wedding portrait studio in town, and that really got my numbers up and my hours up because they were, one of those models where you get people in, you shoot for 40 minutes, quickly do an edit for 10 minutes, and then you get them straight in the sales room and sell them wall art and stuff.
Yep.
And on Saturday we might have 8 different groups come through.
Yeah.
So it's just had to be bang on the hour. And, I learnt very quickly how to build rapport with people, get people relaxed really quickly, and work with like one single light and everything you can achieve with just one light. So it's starting very simply, but it really taught me a lot about, the different qualities of light and how it falls and how it moves and, how you can complement people and it gave me a good education in the visual language that you need for domestic photography. And while I was studying at uni, I was getting the influence of the art world. And so it was a good combination. So they balanced each other a little bit, what realistically it took to run a business and then, how creative and, what you could say with your work. So that was a great influence for me. And before I even, started like looking at weddings seriously. And then, when I did start jumping into weddings, it was because I saw it as an achievable thing. I think when I was at uni, the idea of shooting weddings was just nuts. It was like, there's no way. That is way too stressful. And you'd hide behind the guise of it being lame because all the fashion photographers thought wedding photography was crap. You'd hide behind that going, oh yeah, weddings suck, man. And it was really just because you were shitting yourself that you'd get it wrong and you didn't really have a handle on what you're doing or what to expect. So that was a beast that you didn't want to touch.
So it was something that you saw as an industry you couldn't take many risks in and experiment a lot and were limited by creative freedom?
It was just more of an unknown at that point. And it was just, the fear of doing something that maybe you couldn't do right and then hiding behind that ego of like, oh, it's lame anyway.
Yeah.
But then when I did get my head around it and realised that I had a good handle on my gear and what I was doing and how I was interacting with people, excuse you, and I could break the day down into the different segments and be like, you do some detail shots, which should be like commercial work, and then you do some kind of candid stuff, which is a bit like photojournalism, and then you do some portraits, which is just portraiture, or lean into a bit of fashion, and then you kind of move on and do it again at the next house, and then you're documenting at a ceremony, and then you're doing some family photos again, and then you're doing some creative portraits. And then you're doing event coverage. And like once I broke it down into those little pieces, it's like, oh, this is a pretty cool challenge I think I can handle now.
Yeah.
And then I learnt very traditionally as well, like with a shot list from my studio. So that was a good kind of base and safety net of like, just make sure you've got all these shots and you just do them nicely. So they were good, straight, very, put it on the fridge sort of stuff, like here's us looking at the camera smiling, and it came from a world of, shooting film. So it was pretty stagnant. And it was a bit of an old school Italian-esque, way of doing it. But the more I did it and the more I realised I didn't need the shot list and you could do those shots with mum and daughter or, whatever the combination was in a different way other than just standing there looking at the camera, I was like, okay, there's actually room to move in here. As long as you get those sorts of shots, you can do them however you really want, as long as they count. And then that evolved, and I started documenting more and pushing into, you know, the fleeting moments and the natural interactions and expressions in those moments. And then at that point, when I realised I could do that, then I was like, well, what else can you do? Like, how else can you tell this story? Because at the moment we're just taking photos of stuff and people. And then I started to question the whole narrative of the day. And then at that same time, there was a few other people kind of pushing into that narrative-driven area of weddings, who became, you know, friends of mine, I guess, in the industry. And we kind of all went down that path. And then that led into, you know, seeing how creative you could create some shots. And that was based around like submitting them into awards. So you'd tell a beautiful story, you get these beautiful shots, and then you'd, you know, push for these wow shots, you know, ones that you could submit to these awards, and that became a real satisfying thing. Which everyone won. Like I did creatively because it scratched all my creative itches, but you're also doing an excellent job for your clients. Yes, you're wowing them and getting these amazing things.
Yeah, that's awesome, James. If you don't mind me saying, I feel like you kind of carved your own pathway, and you kind of developed a style that you brought a lot of influence into Perth. And I think you're one of the first who had that style. I'm not sure if you would agree.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was not to say that my style is the same as anyone else's, but I think the trajectory of where it was aiming or the intent of the work was aligned with a few people, especially out of Australia at that point. You know, I was heavily influenced by, you know, Sam Blake was from Perth, lives in New York now. Amazing work. She's got a very editorial look, you know, a big wig in the New York scene. Dan O'Day and Kelly Tunney and, you know, Jonas Peterson as well, like, and, you know, Todd Hunter McGaw, the McGaws from Brisbane. We're all similar vintage, and we all kind of were going down that path, and I think that's kind of what drew us together a little bit, because we're pushing it back against some of the traditional stuff, and I didn't want to be a clone of those guys. But,
yeah,
you know,
that's right. It's the unique path you kind of took with your work. You know, the way you edit it, the way you compose it. When you see an image similar to Tyler, it's like you know it's your work, you know, and all of the images kind of unite, but they're different at the same time. So there's like a consistent style, but you're always asking like, what is it? But it's something unique to what you do, I think, and that's I think the artist component to what you do. Obviously, you know, you must be a very good service provider and business owner as well. But yeah, I think definitely the artistry, however you say that word, is a big part of what you do. So we'll dive into that a lot more. Yeah, definitely. You've definitely been a massive influence to most people who I have spoken to that live in Perth. So yeah, well done on a very successful career, James. Yeah, and Charli, I'll let you take the spotlight for a second. What's up, Sharess? Let us know if you have any questions. James is a wedding photographer. He's very, very talented. So feel free to ask any questions around photography and weddings. So Charli, spotlight's on you.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess following on from our conversation before about, I guess, when I first picked up a camera, I then soon sort of got into, I did modelling for a while as like a teenager, and, you know, had some kind of success with that, which was cool. Nothing major, and I didn't care about it too much to pursue it super hard or anything. And then organically from that, I sort of had a lot of friends ask, you know, oh, I saw you on TV, or I saw that billboard, and like, how did you do that? That's so cool. And so I decided to get them all in one room at a time to sort of give them some modeling training. And yeah, basically like from that, I birthed a like modeling school, and I spent about 10 years scouting and training models for their, you know, like because they wanted to do modeling. So and a component of that was doing photo shoots. So we did 5 photo shoots, in a row in this particular course. And I hired some amazing photographers that did some awesome work. And I think that one of the things that drew me towards fashion and beauty photography was really my sort of like behind the scenes frustration in at the shoot itself, where I'd be like, oh my gosh, that photo would have been so good as long as, like, if only her hair was in this position, or if only her arm was in this position, or it would have been so nice if she had a more dramatic expression, or that kind of thing. So I basically like started to do fashion and beauty out of a bit of frustration, which is quite funny, instead of it being just from excitement. And that's when I started doing fashion and beauty and stopped doing weddings. The weddings was like a bit more of a shorter stint for me at the beginning. And then as soon as I did fashion and beauty, I felt like I was in my element sort of thing. It was very glamorous, and I felt like I could control or like manufacture sort of a scene. And that in itself was like a really creative, artistic, sort of thing to do, which I really enjoyed. So I did that for a really long time and really enjoyed that, and kind of specialized in super, super close up macro beauty as well, which is what I kind of became known for. Managed to work with some awesome people and awesome brands all over the world. Honed in sort of a niche in beauty photography, which was really cool. It wasn't sort of super popular when I started it. So that was, I think, because of the fact that I got in early to that, I think that's why, people were interested in it. I did love it a lot. And then I started kind of getting a little bit, tired of it, just because I guess I felt like it wasn't as aligned to me and the new perceptions that I had of the world after my personal lived experience. And I have like a 12-year-old daughter, and I wanted her to feel really beautiful and really confident and not compare herself consistently to other people. And I felt like I wasn't truly being in integrity by just producing extra hot photos of extra hot women. That was sort of wearing away at me a little bit. And I also really felt like a lot of the models that I was shooting were coming to me with like a lot of insecurities. And I'm a massive empath, so I would take that home with me and feel really burdened by it. Essentially I felt like I was also like monetizing off of their insecurities instead of like helping them feel good. And, like the dopamine only lasts so long once you've posted the photo and gotten the likes sort of thing. But I wanted to help them long term feel better about themselves, which photography wasn't doing, which is why I'm studying psychology at the moment, so that I can sort of go down that path as well. It was kind of perfect, because when I started getting, a bit more sick of like fashion and beauty photography, that's when I met James. And he was like, oh, I'm a wedding photographer. And I was like, oh, wedding photographer, great. Because I always had this perception that wedding photography was like pretty corny, basically. And then I saw his work and I was like, oh my God, you're really good. And then he was like, yeah, you should assist me at a wedding sometime. And I'm like, okay.
Smooth.
Smooth
moves.
Yeah. And I assisted him at a wedding, and it wasn't shit. And I was like, this is actually really fun. And the whole day was like, an awesome day, and the couple were awesome. And I loved watching him. Like, it was very sexy watching him behind the camera. And I was like, oh my God,
Fangirl moment.
Pardon?
Fangirl moment.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even know who he was prior to this. So I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
And then, I was like, maybe I should do that. And then when we got together, I was like, well, you're going to be booked on weekends doing this anyway. So maybe I should pick up the camera and have a crack at the weddings again after a very long hiatus from it. And I really loved it. and I felt like it was literally giving me what I had been missing for so long in fashion and beauty. And like the contrast, it's such a stark contrast between the two. Like in fashion and beauty, it was always inside in a studio, and I actually like prefer being outside. So and a lot of weddings, are outside. And there was a lot more variety in terms of weddings, especially like going to different places, working with different people, which definitely appeals to my ADHD tendencies. And then I also loved like the genuine expressions and emotions that and connections that from weddings that were sort of like manufactured in fashion and beauty. And yeah, you've got people that love each other, that have spent all this money on like kind of a big day where everyone can have an awesome time and celebrating their love. And I think that heart and soul and it was just missing from studio work. And I mean, although it can be there, it's just not there in as much abundance, or it's not as genuine or profound. So yeah, that's why now I'm definitely on, what do they call it? What do we call it? The light side. I've come to the light side.
I felt the same in fashion and the beauty kind of industry as well. I dabbled a little bit in it, but kind of steered away from it very early on. Never really felt that fulfilled from shooting it. Weddings, on the other hand, you always felt fulfilled with weddings. There's just something about them, isn't it? You're producing meaningful work, I think, When you're able to look back on photos of your loved ones and reflect on the moments you've had, that's a really powerful thing, right? How do you view photography, and what do you think is so important about it? Why do people want it?
Well, I can jump in there if that's cool.
Yeah, both. Go for it.
For me, knowing that my work has a purpose gives me the motivation to do it day in, day out, and it gives it that longevity.
So why do you do it?
Exactly right. It's multiple levels, but basically the creative outlet, the interaction and the interpretation, the creative way that your brain needs to work, process, interact, absorb, anticipate, that is, it's a form of communication and interaction which you don't get in many roles. There's probably others, if we could really dig down and think about it.
But photography is a very unique thing.
To have that balance of artistry and psychology and your personality, and being able to bring in humour with it, or make it a serious note, or the form of connection that it gives you with your subject matter, whether it's a piece of salami or a person, like you need to kind of know this thing intimately or feel like you have empathy for it. So I think the process, it makes me feel alive, because you have to be a human to be able to engage with that subject matter on a certain level. And there's not much else that can do that, and it's very satisfying, as well as you have to be vulnerable to be able to show your work, because everyone wants to be liked and accepted. You do have to produce the work, and your hope is that your clients will love it. So there's a level of humility and vulnerability that goes into that. But then I guess the dopamine hit that comes with the effort of putting in the work to get that photograph, the dopamine hit is the validation that you get back from your clients when they say that was freaking amazing. Thank you so much. You were such a legend on the day. We loved it. Can't thank you enough. Like that's a little bit addictive, and it's a slippery slope too, because I think a lot of people get anxiety about getting that validation. And we can talk about ego that comes with that, and validation you get from photography.
And keeping yourself in check, eh?
But, we're only human.
I keep it in check.
We're only human, and who doesn't love a little dopamine hit, whether it's an ice bath or someone telling
you're
you
a surfer, mate. You're a dopamine fiend.
Big wave surfer. It serves the brain, and the brain wants more of it. Yes, so, it gets a bit addictive as well.
Absolutely, man. success is addictive, right? Getting told you're doing something that's good can be addictive, and you do need to keep yourself in check. Definitely, I completely agree. There was something you said there about providing something that is you feel like is meaningful. So have you had any experiences where like clients have come back to you and they've been like my personal experience with photography is my nonno who used to live here, and then he passed on, and I've taken a lot of photos of him, and those photos are so important to me, because I grew up very close to him, knew him very well, and I can relive my memories through those photos. So I think as a photographer, like, you're positioned in a place where you're able to provide that back to someone. Have you, like, what's the most memorable, kind of thing that a client has said, like if there is any of, have you, like family member passing or something along those lines? Yeah.
I would struggle to think of one particular moment, but it happens more often than I'd like to talk about, to be fair. But, sometimes it's a couple of days after a wedding even.
We got one recently in Sydney.
And
yeah.
They're like, I know it's early and you haven't, edited the photos yet, but, whoever it was has passed away, and, we're trying to organise some photos for the wedding, and we really appreciate, some photos, and it's just like, oh, this is why you do those boring shit family photos, because you've got everyone in there, you haven't missed anyone, everyone looks nice, everyone's included.
It's an important part of the day.
Those documents become valuable. They may not seem relevant at the time because it's all about the fun, cool, aesthetically pleasing stuff. But, getting a nice close-up of your grandma, grandpa, mum, dad, whoever it is, like, I guess as people, we value life the most. In a materialistic world, consumerist society, there's still the empathy for human life and the need for connection that makes us all human and what we all want. And everyone is the same in that regard. We're all different, but we have the same needs, and human connection is one of them. And, we all appreciate someone, surely. And obviously, everyone's different again. But
so photography is important to people because it comes back to them being able to relive their relationships and their connections and their experiences. And
you preserve a memory, or a snapshot of something that's attached to memories. So it's a reminder of something for people. It could be the love, it could be the support that person carried. It's everything that person meant to them can be encapsulated in that one image. Like looking at one image of a fraction of a second can bring back, a lifetime of memories for people. And that has real purpose and value. Like, what's more valuable than human life? And I don't know. And, what is success? Is that, is giving someone that success, or is it the validation that you've done a good job success, or is the money in your bank account success? I don't know. It's all, like I feel successful when I've given someone something that is of value to them.
And that's obviously why you've devoted so much time and effort to refining your craft, is because of that purpose that you always come back to. And I think that's how you become someone who is successful in many different ways, right? You start with why, you start with the purpose behind it, and then the money will follow eventually, right? You just need to put the time and effort in. Charli, what does photography mean to you?
I'm really glad that you asked this question, because a friend of mine asked it to me the other day. But I just think that the actual fact that we can just take a moment in time, like, is just insane. Like, I will never be able, just like, humans creating an airplane and like you being able to get to another country in a matter of hours, and the way that fries my brain, like the fact that us as humans have created a machine that can like capture a moment in time is just so amazing to me. Like, I just think that it's such a mundane thing now. Like, why are we not talking about how cool this is? And as James said, I definitely do think that it's relevant for the people that you love, you know, the people that are important to you. And, you know, that's really like what life is all about. It's at the end of the day who you are and who you're with, and nothing else will matter. Yeah, we have had, you know, recently a few requests for, you know, sorry, I know that you haven't completed the gallery yet, but somebody has died, and if you have a photo of them, that would be amazing. And because of that, because of like 2 or 3 phone calls that we've had in the last sort of 6 or 9 months, one of the things that I attempt to do at every single wedding is get one amazing photo of every single guest. Even if it's like 250 person wedding, like I'll try. And even if I'm only shooting for 4 hours, I'm like, oh, challenge accepted, you know. It's like my little side quest. And not that I necessarily commit to that, because there are sometimes like external factors that you can't control. But yeah, I always try to like just sniper one amazing photo of every single person there. And it's a good memory game as well. It's brain stimulation to try to figure out who you haven't done. Yeah, that's like one of my favorite things to do. And it's actually the thing that I get complimented on the most. That is, I think, the most unexpected thing about the services that I deliver. I think that people like book me for their like sexy photos that they post on Instagram. They book James for the masterpieces that they hang on the wall. But what they end up getting from me that I think that they that is unexpected, unless I've told them about, you know, it earlier, are like these photos of the people that they love, and it's the thing that they value the most out of like the services that I give. Yeah, and that's like awesome when I get that feedback. Is like, holy shit, like, you know, the photos of all of our loved ones that were there, like you got every single person, and every single photo of every single person is amazing. And they all change their profile pictures on Facebook or Instagram, which is, let's be honest, the highest form of flattery as a photographer. Yeah, it's the people. It's the people. You're damn right, you know, so.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's definitely the people for me as well. I think the other part of photography for me is the artistic endeavor of it, right? I love photography because of the ability you have to maybe, the way to put it would be like enhance a moment or put your unique twist on it using the camera, which both of you guys do really well. So for me, I always think of photography as an interplay of the moment, the composition, and the lighting. It's like all of those 3 elements kind of tie together to really create a powerful image, right? You need all 3, and you need to control all 3 or capture all 3 in a certain way to have a united photo that really might go from good to incredible. What do you guys think is the most important, the moment, the composition, or the lighting?
It's the golden triangle of things that you need to make an outstanding image, for sure. Yeah, I think.
So what element on there would change an image from good to exceptional? Which one of those 3 are probably the most influential?
I think the moment.
Yeah.
You know, it could be in crappy lighting with, you know, pretty skewed composition. But if you've got a moment that means something to people, I think they will look at that for a long time and they won't really care about anything else. If it's in that domestic photography realm, if you're talking from a creative standpoint, like for artwork, you know, you just need all 3, or you need it to be visually stimulating to catch someone's eye first. Then you need the content that moves people into some form of emotion. You know, whether it's good or bad, you know, it's got to be emotive. And then what it's saying, the story that you're trying to say, like it probably needs to be quite poignant as well. But wedding-based moment. And to be honest, domestic photography, how people look. If they look good, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. That's right.
You get the best photo in the world, the most like narrative-driven, beautiful shot. But if, you know, the bride's got a double chin, or if she's laughing too hard, or the groom doesn't like his bald spot or something like that, it's not worth a pinch of shit.
People need to like how they look in it. I think I agree with you, James. I think definitely the moment takes it's the most important, because you can't have a good wedding photo without a good moment, right? And that's something that I think your style really encapsulates is the moment you're capturing are those fleeting moments. They're those often those in between moments. You're posing, but you're also looking to capture around that. You're not necessarily posing and keeping it still. You're keeping the movement. You're keeping the flow. And I think that's a really great way to approach photography. I think I try and do the same thing, because it's those in between moments that you often get those little moments of those little gem moments, right? That they're different. They hit differently. But then if you control the lighting and you control the composition in a way that kind of enhances that moment, right? So you might be using lighting in a way to reinforce the intimacy of this particular moment by having maybe direct soft sunlight, let's say. So it kind of illuminates it with that really bright orange, and then you crop in closely, take the foreheads out a little bit or something, which I know you do a lot of, or Charli, using shadows and highlights, very strong contrast, and you might be positioning subjects within that to kind of frame them and control how the lighting like moves the eye around, and that kind of allows viewers to engage with the photo on a more deeper level, right? And that's where the narrative comes into it. So what do you guys like, both of you, like thinking about when you're is that my dog barking? I'll go check on him in a second as well after. Okay, you guys.
Yeah, he's so cute.
Yeah. Oh, he'll go a bit too hectic. Yeah.
He'll still the show.
So yeah, what are you guys thinking about when you're producing images?
There's a lot of choices. There's a lot of variables, right? And if you had the ultimate choice, you'd be there forever picking between whatever aesthetic that you wanted to go down, right? So I think the way that style develops is usually based on your own preferences. So your own philosophy, what you like, what you prefer, what's left an imprint on your brain, your influences, the sum of your life, like what has got you to where you are today, will guide your preferences.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to aesthetic, you'll probably naturally lean into things that you find more visually appealing. So for me, it was like, strong contrasty light and dramatic lines, and like natural moments and interactions. So that was a bit of a natural progression for me, because that's what I found interesting, and that's what I like to use. And then I realized that I was good at using those things. And then when you're good at something, it reinforces that you enjoy it, because you're getting good at something. So, the aesthetic can kind of happen naturally based on your preferences, but you could also choose. You go, if I want an aesthetic, what's the technical side of it? What's the lighting side of it? How is it achieved? How is it done? And you could do that as a problem solving exercise, and that's a lot of the time how a commercial photographer has to approach sorts of things. Like how is
but
that
as a wedding photographer, you're doing it on the go, because I know I did a second shot for you, and I watched you work, and you probably do it unconsciously because you've been doing it so long, but you're definitely observing the scene, and you're definitely going, what am I doing here as the artist to make this moment more powerful?
And by leaning into the things that you're naturally drawn to, you cut down the different variables. So I'm no longer looking at an option that someone else might look at because that's their preference. I'm honing in and seeing, where's that backlight coming from? Where the shadow's falling? Where can I anticipate these people going with that type of lighting? So I'm looking at the light. I'm engaged in the action because I want to anticipate the moment, but I'm looking at the background, the interaction, the different bodies moving through the frame, how they fall in the frame, like where are they going to make a composition, what you can get on the fly, or if you have to facilitate the moment a little bit, rein it in, because sometimes it can get too chaotic, it looks too messy. There's something there that's going to look good, but it's kind of just all over the place and it's impossible to shoot. So, is it at that point that I inject myself and go, hey guys, just slow down there, just keep doing what you're doing, but can you just, only Jan, can you just move over that way a little bit? And then you've got a clean shot. And then, obviously it's more directive, it's more purposeful, but you've seen something on the fly, and you do have the option to control it, slow it down, and make it better. But at the same time, it's also good to be able to grab those things on the fly and then anticipate those things, because they are the true, authentic moments. However, if something's buzzy and looks great, like I always like to just go, okay, I can just turn this up a notch.
Yep.
Like, this is looking good, but I can make this even better. And, by slowing it down, getting people to interact in a natural way, you can still achieve, a very natural reaction from them. But you've got the perfect background, you've got the perfect lighting, you've fluffed the dress and, put the flowers in the right hand or whatever it is. And then you've worked with that couple to produce a natural expression.
Yep.
And so that's the kind of the two different formats. It's either very photojournalistic or directed.
Yep.
But
Well
the
said.
direction's based on my set of preferences for my aesthetic. So
Yep.
I can hone it in rather than having all of the options available, and I'll just use a 50mm lens pretty much all day long.
Yep.
And then a wide angle lens, just those two. That's it. And then that takes out the hard work of going, should I shoot this on an 85 or at 35 or
So you've stayed true to what you like, and you produce what you like, and you don't worry about the external influences so much. You be true to yourself, and you refine your work over a period of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to listen to the outside.
Well, you have to. You have to.
Well, you need to stay relevant, and it's good to understand what the trends are and all that sort of stuff. But I think at the core basis of it, you need to be able to anchor yourself in something that is timeless.
Yeah.
Because you can't have total trend. Like, your work can't all be trend. Like, it needs to be anchored in an intention that is authentic to your beliefs, with your why. Yes, you can throw in a flash and do some on-camera flash thing or off-camera flash things, that are whatever, or pull out the film camera and shoot a bunch of film, but unless you've got that base, if you're all trend, next week it's going to be something else, and then you get left in dust.
Yep.
But your style is probably constantly evolving. Like, as you grow, learn, and progress, your style does generally, grow, progress, and get better, and evolve with the time as well. So what I was doing in 2014 is pretty different to what I'm doing in 2025, because it's been 11 years.
You had to think about that, didn't you?
Yeah. I was like, oh my god, I'm showing my
I
age.
finished high school in 2014.
That's nice.
Bit of a dig. All right, James, I'm going to shut you up. Charli, how do you use lighting? How do you think of lighting? How do you think of composition? How do you think of the moment? What are you doing on a wedding day?
Yeah. I think that I don't think I ever really grew up. Like, I think that I am a bit of a child, don't you think? Like, in most moments. And I like to... I think like being present and having fun is like a real value of mine.
Right. Is that different to James's approach?
We are so different, him and I. We couldn't be more different. We have shared similarities for sure, but like I'm very, as just personality wise, I'm very emotional, very sensitive, extremely passionate, like kind of reactive in good ways and in not good ways. And I do like being silly. I consider myself a bit of a comedian.
Sure.
Yeah, and you definitely possess all of those traits too. But James is a lot more considered than I am. I think that he has a more like educated and academic eye. And mine, I've never studied photography. So all of my, it would be like playing music by ear, like, as opposed to somebody who's like classically trained, like.
That's a really good analogy. I like that one.
Thanks, you can keep
really
it. But, James has taught me a lot about, just lighting and settings and gear and blah, blah. But I definitely like had trial by fire when I was learning and like just made all of the mistakes and realized what not to do. So I definitely like to be really, really present to the moment and like have some sort of like childlike, curiosity and play and like emotion and fun with it. So like when I'm in a kind of scene, I definitely like to take the surrounding environment as inspiration. And it's definitely more like, oh my God, that would look so amazing if it was like this here. Or like, oh my gosh, like that sunset's so beautiful and like you guys need to run through that. Like, and it's more of just like an emotional impulse, I guess. And rather than like at this time, this is going to be here and then on that angle and the wind's going to be slightly blah, blah, blah. Like that's what he does.
I do the same thing.
Yeah. And I think that like probably 80-90% of my shots are like reactive on like, oh my God, wrap yourself up in this or
So
go
it's
for a run over there.
More of a journalistic approach.
I think so. It's spontaneous. I don't know. Yeah, like I love journalistic photography, so I would take that as a massive compliment. But
you have that fashion twist to it as well, which is the unique thing, right? Is that you are photographing in a natural way. You can definitely see that in your work, but they're still composed and framed, and the shots are edited to that way where it's edgy. It's not purely journalistic. It's got a twist to it.
And I think that comes from my background in fashion and beauty photography. But more than that, I think that it comes from like being a female and really like loving and embracing like the feminine and like that sort of the essence of what the feminine can offer. And the masculine too. I don't do men quite as well though, like in terms of posing or movement. I do try. But yeah, I think that like, really like celebrating the female form is something that I really enjoy. And I hope that it comes through my work. So
certainly does. It certainly does. Both very big fans of what you both do. So that's really interesting to hear that your approaches are that different. It just goes to show that you can do what's true to yourself, right, and make a career out of photography, and as long as you kind of come back to that purpose and that meaning of why you do it, that's really what matters in the end. That's really awesome.
I think in a lot of successful careers, or a lot of careers that end up being successful, it starts with an intention that is pure and it means a lot to the person, so they can be passionate about it and they're doing it for the right reasons.
How did you find your passion for photography, James?
Well, it's a bit in the story that I kind of ran through at the start of the podcast. There's lots of influences throughout my life, and then when it came time to make a decision on what I could do when I had this injury, it was kind of like one of the only things I was interested in.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It was like, my parents had been teachers, and I was kind of like thinking about that pathway, and it's like, I don't know, like that seems pretty painful. And I still remember one day when I was a kid, and my mum was like, "Jamie, promise me you'll never become a teacher." I think she was having a bit of a moment.
And then you became a stepdad, which is basically like a teacher.
Well, I taught at university, and I've done lots of
It's going to pop up,
workshops.
guys. Again, sorry, keep going.
Given a lot of myself to the educational side of it, so that definitely was a influence as well. But yeah, from my parents, from my surfing background, from friends, that's kind of what got me interested in it. And then uncovering, what it actually meant to do a wedding. I think it only happened after I started shooting them, when I was like, okay, this is pretty special. Not only am I doing something awesome for people, giving them an artifact of their life, like giving them,
Do you want another drink?
Historical document. Yes, please. Thank you.
I'll drive the 1 minute home. Don't worry. Don't worry, babe.
Do we want to keep talking, or we pause here? Drink break.
No stress for driving. Cool. All right.
Yeah, I'll go less on the sweet stuff, more on the PT stuff.
All right, I'm going to start diving you guys down a bit of a artsy pathway. Gonna snap it up a bit. Both your journeys are incredible. Yeah, well done, guys. James, so like I said at the start, before we get into the artsy stuff, I might dive and break your brain down a little bit around how you got to where you are, because. Like I said, every single person I've brought on the podcast, if I'm talking about weddings, they always refer to you, like James Simmons. You've had so much influence over so many photographers in West Australia. What did you do differently to other people? Like what was it that you did that made you get your name out there so much that everyone knows who you are? You're very well renowned. You had the opportunities to produce really amazing work. What were you doing? What were you doing differently?
I just started first. No, that's I don't know, because I did my own thing, and opportunities
you don't
came up.
know. Let's find out why.
I just took my opportunities.
Yeah.
I did realise when I started working for myself that there was a bit of a gap in the Perth market. There was a few wedding photographers kind of transitioning out of wedding photography. And there was kind of some limited opportunities of the new school of shooting coming through, which is now the old school. Again,
what's this? The old school, the new school. What are you talking about?
Well, just very traditional ways, typical ways of shooting weddings.
And your way was more those fleeting narrative, natural moments.
Yeah,
and you see that going out of trend, do you?
No, there's still an absolute.
I think it's still the way, man.
Demand for it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, where it all fits in with modern trends, I'm not too sure. Like, I think it's still relative and people will still want that. And, as long as you can kind of show that you're doing things that are current as well, that fit in with that format, it all works pretty well. I don't even remember what the question was. What was I doing that was
What were you doing differently? So we're gonna do some therapy, psychology, eh? Because it seems like you don't know what you did. You don't know.
I knew what I did. I just didn't realise it was different to anyone else.
Definitely is different.
Honestly, I just did the things that I liked and what I enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any other way to do it, so I just doubled down on doing the things that I enjoyed, and it seemed to be appealing to a lot of people.
Gotcha.
Can I chime in on this as well after you?
Yeah, I think then. Well, I guess there was a lot of.
Well, I found you through awards.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, there was a lot of marketing that came from, a lot of PR that came from winning some awards through the AIPP and other organisations. They were, some of the biggest awards at the time, some of the only ones at the time. So it had a pretty captive audience.
Yeah.
So winning those awards, they were, a pretty well publicised and understood that it was prestigious, and got runs in magazines and blogs, and also ended up on the news. Or whatever it was. Current affair. No, it wasn't a current affair.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I didn't do anyone wrong.
What's your input there, Charli?
I was just saying that, going to say that James and I have been really talking about the value of authenticity lately.
Yeah.
And that, like, the world doesn't need more, like, replicas of whatever's hot at the moment. And although trends can definitely serve a purpose, that's what he needs. Although trends can definitely serve a purpose, what the world needs is, like, you to be you and to be as much you as possible. And I think that's what's so magnetizing about James's work is that he followed what he liked and where his heart led him, and then created work that was in harmony with the things that he was finding inspirational. And I think that authenticity is really as I said, magnetizing and unforgettable sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And then and then what we were talking about before about, like, trends and following trends and kind of, like, trying to keep up with the Joneses and do what's hot or whatever, that then becomes another, like, sort of like challenge, because you're like, do I do what I like authentically, or do I do what I'm being told to do by society, and what people want to see? And there's like a fine balance, I think, with that. And that's something that we talk about consistently, is that like, you know, his style is so unique and so potent, you know, but is it exactly what is on trend right now? You know, sometimes, and then sometimes not. But I think that you create your best work when you're being in your like utmost authenticity, you know.
Yeah, but I personally believe that you could pick any photography style, I think, and become big, you know, right? You could do whatever you wanted. You just need to kind of carve your own pathway, which is what I think you've done, James, through pursuing it as a passion. Because you're definitely a very influential photographer, a very influential person. You influenced me from when I first came into the industry. You were the first wedding photographer I really looked at the work and got inspired by. And there's many other people who say the same thing. So I think you were an influencer without even knowing it. You were like an artist, you know, who was putting work out to these awards, winning these awards, getting recognized by them. But I think that there must be something else as well. And I'm curious to know kind of what you were doing around that period of time, which I don't know, would have been maybe 5 to 10 years ago, sometime around then, when you were really putting your work out into these awards. Like, what else were you doing? What was your week to week looking like? What were you doing?
Hustling, mate, hustling.
Hustling, yeah, grinding.
No, well, I think the 10-year ago mark was probably more the peak time for all of that stuff. And it was passion-based, and who doesn't love a little bit of competition and a bit of friendly rivalry? But entering these competitions allowed me to network and meet a lot of very interesting, cool, fun, creative people. And then, you know, that opened up doors throughout the industry, and I made a lot of connections within the industry. And I think since I've stopped entering awards and focused on my purpose, you know, that's kind of died down a little bit. And, you know, I mean, this is a whole nother conversation now. We're going to go down.
How many podcasts we got?
What serves your ego and all that sort of stuff. But like I put all my eggs in one basket. When I started studying photography, I was 26, and I was like, I'm going to make this work. I don't care. This is fun. Like, I wanted to do photography because...
Just pull the mic right up to you, man.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
Get it
there you go.
right up in there.
Deep.
I wanted to do photography because, like, I could not see myself surviving a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I'd worked in a few different areas, and, you know, I hated, being an employee. I really struggled with that. And what I learned about myself was that I wanted to do something creative, something dynamic, something with a lot of variety.
So entering awards was one way to get your name out. What else did you do for networking? Did you like, so you taught at university as well?
Yeah, yep. I took on a role in a shoot class and taught, I can't remember the name of it now. I don't think it exists at uni anymore, but it was basically Photoshop, digital photo media or something like that. Anyway, it was a great way to learn how to public speak, keep an audience, instruct and also teach. So I did that for a few years. And, when I got some great PR and get, some notoriety or popularity, I guess, in amongst your peers, and you know how to speak and you know how to teach, that became another avenue that I went down. And, talking at workshops, running workshops, and offering mentoring and things like that. So when you start to speak directly to an audience, I think that network grows even more. And I had a lot of, well, I still do, but I've had to rein it in a little bit, but I had a lot of time for people and I gave a lot of myself to people, and, I wasn't trying to hide anything. Like, people would ask me what I'm doing, what my settings were, how do I do this, how do I do that? And I was more than willing to share. So people felt like, I guess, they had access to me, and I, made them feel like they were being helped, by giving them what they wanted, the information that they wanted.
I think that's marketing done really well. So the way I think of marketing is it's community based. I look at it as how can I get my name out and amongst a community in an authentic way. A lot of people criticize what I do because they are unsure as to why I'm targeting other photographers as much as I am targeting potential wedding clients. But I think your pathway has clearly shown that having a strong reputation amongst and a strong name spoken amongst the photography community is a really powerful way to get a basis and get interest. And then once you have interest amongst photographers who are devoted to your work and who always visit what you do, and they're kind of speaking your name and looking at who you are, you get a bit of like a social appraisal, right? Where people view you to a higher standard because other photographers are following you and other photographers are interacting with you. I guess the resemblance in social media today would be a large number of followers, right? And the number appears to have an impact on how people perceive your work, where they go, you have a high number of followers, they must be a better photographer, or they get higher amounts of interaction on their posts, they must be a better photographer. It's not necessarily true. It's a facade, it's a gimmick, right? But it's what marketing is. So in a way, James, like what you did is similar to what I'm trying to do now, whereas I'm trying to build an audience amongst photographers, get my name out there amongst photographers, but also show my capabilities and my work through I guess you did it through putting your work into awards that other photographers voted for, and then you won and got your name out, where I'm trying to put it onto social media, share insights, share tips. That gets recognized amongst photographers, and then potential wedding clients find it. But the thing that I've realized is wedding clients are going to drop in and drop out. Photographers will stay devoted and follow you for a long time. So if you want to build a true, strong audience, you should focus on the photographers. Yeah.
Yes. And it depends on who gives you the most awards, I suppose. Awards being the things that you can spend on your life to keep you alive. It's good to have a following of photographers, especially if you want to run workshops. I think I worked on a platform before. But
it's also little things like in general conversation. So like Ryan Ammon said your name, Eric Sandstrom said your name, Tyler said your name, Callum and Isabel said your name, Corey said your name. Every single guest I've had on has said your name. Hayden and Sam.
James Simmons. No, I've said your name.
It's brand awareness.
Yeah, and I think
but
you can't replicate now is the way that I did it. I didn't even have that as my intention. It happened organically.
But that's the authentic part.
Yeah, so just through pure passion,
giving back as well,
and because that's what I was passionate about. Yeah. So I wanted to do something that I loved, and then I wanted to share good quality information. I'm a big believer in sharing good quality information, and that's the teaching background from my parents.
I need to bring Charli in because she's a bit of a marketing.
So people can try and do it now with that as a template, but you can't replace the authenticity and the organic way that my career advanced. It was very organic, and if people ask me for business advice, I'm the worst person to ask because I was so very fortunate that I've rarely done any marketing ever.
But I did
things that I enjoyed doing.
Yeah, but that's what marketing is.
Right. So it's belief in the product first and foremost, but I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just doing it out of pure belief and good intention. And that was it. And it all fell into place for me. So that's
the best business advice you can give. Seriously, like if someone was to come to me and they would say, I want to start a business, I would say, find your passion first. you're not going to go very far if you're not passionate about it, because you need to put the time in. You need to grind. You need to work hard, right? And then once you put the passion, once you have the passion, then it's about networking. I think networking is the big thing, which is what you've done. You networked using the available tools at the time,
and that all happened organically as well.
Yeah,
I just liked meeting people. It was fun.
Yeah.
It's like, like-minded creatives coming together, and I didn't even realize I was networking. I was making friends.
That's incredible.
Seriously.
That's incredible.
None of this was ever a task on a list of things to do.
It wasn't a master plan
at all. I gave a workshop in Vegas, and it was called the Art of Authenticity, and I was literally telling people how I set up my business, and it was based on writing the way you speak, turning your weaknesses into strengths. So like basically outsourcing the things that you're crap at, or like finding a problem solve for the things you hated doing more of the good stuff, less of the shitty stuff, or finding a way to get that done easily. And like even little things like my hours at my studio were 11 till 7. I fucking hate being in traffic. Who doesn't? But starting at 11, don't get the morning traffic. Going home after 7, don't get the evening traffic. And you're also open after hours for people to come and visit you. It was great. I was like, why is everyone else closing at 5? Like, why start at 8 or 9?
Go for a surf in the morning.
Yeah, and I'd go to the gym, go surfing, whatever,
Sorry, so Charli, you've been sitting tight for a while there.
That's okay. I'm happy. I love listening to him talk. I can listen to him talk all day.
Who doesn't?
But it was about making those things that are valuable to your life and designing a business that worked for you authentically. Because there's no point building a business that you end up hating or being a slave to. Creating too much busyness. No, you've got to be smarter than that. You've got to refine your systems so you get to do the things that you love doing. Then there's longevity to it. If you burn out because you hate culling or editing, and you're stuck doing that, you find a better way. Outsource it. Let someone else do it. Teach someone that loves it to do it. Or get AI to do it. There's
get
so
your fiance to do it.
So figure out what the 80-20 is, or whatever it is. Your 80% needs to be the things that make a difference. And move the needle, like, the things that you're passionate about, the things that you give to your clients or whatever. The rest of it needs to be the 20% side. So 80% of your business is stuff that is meaningful and doesn't feel like work for you.
Brilliant. That's brilliant business advice. Not sure why you say you're bad at business, because that's it, man. That's exactly how I see it as well. I think I'm probably a little bit more strategic in my approach to business, where I kind of map things out a bit more. I build my funnels, I build my marketing strategies. But in the end of it, I always look at, am I providing value to other people? So that might be to another couple, that might be to other photographers, or just in general. Am I providing any value? And is this true to who I am? Is this what I really believe? And is this putting new ideas out there that might be reinforcing other ideas or challenging other ideas? And I think that's how I look at it. Which just seems to be what you've done. Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, the space is so competitive with marketing now. It's something I've taken my foot off the accelerator on for the past 12 months. We've had a side hustle with another passion project. But I've noticed that, like, since I've, stopped posting on Instagram and stopped posting blogs, and not that blogs are that relevant anymore, but definitely since I've stopped posting on Instagram, just new clients just are unaware now, like from like, well, as you guys put it, a name that was so well known, like, if there's a 24-year-old couple getting married, I don't know who the hell I am, so everyone's fair game. Yeah, no, like there is plenty.
I think
there is the majority of people getting married now have no idea who I am.
I also just
And
think
that
people
comes down
think
to-
you're more expensive.
I think
than-
there's an economic component as well to that probably. 24-year-olds don't have no money, man.
Well, they just think that he
Broke
charges
ass.
completely outrageously and that he would never be like achievable. That's what I think too.
Well, yeah. I think
It can all be true, I guess. But like, you could ask probably like 100 new wedding photographers that are in the scene. They would not even know who I am. It's just one of those things that things grow from underneath you. There's a whole another generation of people getting married,
Yeah.
a whole another generation of photographers that are just starting that don't even know what's come before them, and that's not their fault. They just haven't been exposed to it yet, and who cares as well? Like, let them write their own path. Like, they don't need to know who I am. Like, good on them. Like, they'll do something authentically themselves. So, it's being well known. It's fantastic, but unless you can leverage it, it's not really worth anything business wise. And I'm not really leveraging it at the moment. So, I'm happy doing me. Like, I've brought it back to the things that I'm passionate about, and the people that I do engage with when I shoot. That's a beautiful thing, and I get all the satisfaction from, serving them and doing the best I can. And then, when we go home and work on our passion project, I get so much satisfaction from working on that. I don't need the external validation anymore. I think 10 years ago I was addicted to that, and that's why I kept entering awards and pushing that. And I've realised now that that's not necessarily healthy, because you start to base your whole identity around those things. And that's not who I am. I'm not a sum of my awards. I'm not just a photographer. Yes, there's elements of it, and for sure, like, people's perception is, whatever they deem to be true, but it's not who you truly are. You're not a sum of your achievements.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. When did this transformation happen? Were you along for this journey?
I'll let you answer that.
Yeah. No, definitely. After meeting Charli, I had a tricky road leading up to that point, and had to go through some personal things. And
We have a question. I'm just gonna pause here. Thanks, Jonathan. We changed that up. Just got him to pull the mic a bit closer to him. He was a bit far down. So Jonathan asks, what inspired your photography style? I think you answered this early on, but maybe just quickly, a minute, just summarize kind of.
I loved Gregory Crewdson's work. So look that one up. Gregory Crewdson, amazing. Like, they look like still frames of cinema, shot on 10:8 large format film, like multiple plates of film.
Gregory, who?
Gregory Crewdson.
Crewdson.
So they were
I know
the
this
most
one.
cinematic.
Yeah, they're pretty incredible.
Like, large production based stuff that was just
He
just
only
blow
presses
my
the
mind.
button, doesn't he?
He doesn't even press the button.
There you go. He just constructs the scene.
He's the director, basically.
That's such an interesting way to think of photography. Do you think of photography in that way still, like how the scene is unfolding and like?
There's a lot
As
of
a director.
anticipation. It depends on the moment. It depends on the
So
circumstance.
I've already asked that. Let's I think we're wrapping. So let me ask a new question. Let's move into more of service. What do you think matters more, quality of work or the service you provide? Yeah,
Why not both?
Why not both? That's right. Why not
Yeah.
both?
I think
so.
that it has to be both.
I
I
think
don't
so
think
as
one
well.
can exist without the other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Nah, fuck the client. It's all about me and work.
I need to get my images.
No, it has to be both. Like, it has to be like if you want to be a professional, I think the experience you provide enhances your work without you even realizing it. If people have a good experience
That's
with
right.
you,
That's right.
they'll take that emotion into the photos. You can get like just an okay shot, but if they're having the best time ever with you, and loved what you did, and you know how much you helped, and all that they will take that into looking at the image. You know, I used to hear horror stories about, you know, photographers that were really good, but they were, you know, bossy or rude or something like that. And the couples are like, yeah, we've got these nice shots, but like it kind of sucked getting those shots, you know, and that breaks my heart hearing that.
Yeah.
Because like it devalues someone's hard work. Like this photographer's done really well to get this amazing shot, but her stress has oozed out in that moment and you know, projected onto the couple, and they've felt that stress of
it's a really fine line, isn't it, man? It's a really fine line, because in a way, like the client has hired you as a photographer, so you need to give them that work, right? That's your signature style that may take time and may need certain lighting conditions to get, but you don't want to impose too much on their day and their timeline as well. That's something that I struggle with a lot. So I think pre-planning is really important for weddings, and really understanding the client, understanding their day, understanding the timeline, and how that's working. So you can kind of already know how you're going to work with them before the day itself, so you can kind of structure your style or your approach based on their unique preferences. That's what I try and do, at least, because I don't ever want to provide a bad experience. I definitely, like, if the client doesn't want my shots, I don't really know why they've hired me, but at the same time, like I won't push that on them, you know. Like I will always try and get the photos the client wants, and I'll always be checking in and making sure, like, do you want to do this shot still? Do you want to, you know, or do you want to go back, or what do you guys want to do? At the end of the day, it is their day, right? And yeah,
I think managing expectations, like from initial meetings, and educating your clients to how the process works, is very powerful. And it's powerful because you set yourself up for success. So through education, giving them all of the information, how long things take, what it looks like, what the experience is going to be like, how you achieve your shots. I take a lot of effort and time in explaining to my couples how we get the shots that they love. Like they make like, oh, I really love that shot on your Instagram. And I'll tell them exactly how it worked.
Yep.
And either it will be a photojournalistic moment or something that looks like a photojournalistic moment, but was completely contrived. And I'll explain that process to them so they understand it.
How do you get those in-between moments?
Well, okay, so either photojournalistically, like just...
with your more guided approach.
Yeah, so directing something, you know, finding a spot with nice light, a background, you know, and posing people just like you would, you know, directing them where to stand, how to stand. That's always just the starting point. So you get it looking aesthetically pleasing, and then you need to give people a distraction from what I'm doing. Or like I need to give them a distraction from the camera, because the camera pointing at people always sends them quite internal, so they get self-conscious. They're forgetting how they should smile. They're worried how their hair looks. You know, it's that awful feeling of being photographed, right? So giving them a distraction from that feeling by getting them to interact in an interesting or creative way. And that can be from a simple thing like asking them like a strange question. One of my favorites that I always go to, my fallback, is like, what would, you know, your husband be if he was a kitchen appliance, or vice versa, right? And it's a weird question. So they'll laugh at the question because it's weird. And then they'll start to think creatively about the other person. So immediately when their attention goes external rather than internal, it's almost impossible for them to hold on to that self-consciousness and that awkward feeling in that moment. So their body changes position, they drop, they move. All of a sudden they've gone from something that's quite stiff to, you know, their body relaxes because they're not thinking about it anymore. So it goes back to a normal setting. It's a factory reset. And then they're having to think creatively about the other person. So the intention and their thought and the brain waves they're putting in are more in depth than surface level stuff. They're trying to think of memories of like what they do in the kitchen, what they like in the kitchen, you know, what they look like, what things look like in the kitchen, and trying to bring this strange, you know, concept together. And in doing so, they completely forget about, you know, the whole scenario of being, well, maybe not completely forget about, but
You ease them up.
They
You ease them up.
they're doing something else, and their interaction then is genuine, and whatever they come up with usually has some connotation that you can banter with, or there's a story behind, and it creates a conversation, or it creates a moment, and it creates a feeling, and it creates a response and a reaction, and then the natural reactions and interaction are just popping off, and it's just there for the taking. It's like, cool.
I have a contribution to this as well.
But in any time.
So I like dad jokes, and I use a lot of like the same dad jokes when I'm shooting a bridal party, for example, or a couple. I don't know if I'm too close to this, but let's try. Okay. But I actually just wanted to do a little shout out because I don't know if you know Tegan O'Brien from O'Brien Originals.
Yep.
She's got this amazing card game that she's created, and photographers can buy this. I actually don't remember the name of the card game, but she gave me a little sneaky peek at some of the prompts that she's created for photographers to give to their clients on wedding days and for couple shoots and things like that. And they're so funny or so relevant and so extraordinary. And the idea is not that you look through the cards as quickly as you can to get an idea, but that you actually give the card deck to the couple and you say, pick a card, and they pick a card. And then basically it'll say something like, you know, wrap your partner up from behind and nuzzle into their ear and make their favorite animal noise, you know, as sexily as you possibly can,
Okay.
you know. And so they do that, and it's obviously hilarious because, you know, of what it is, but also it tickles a little bit. And so they sort of do this, and then it's like a big giggle, and the chin's lifting, and, you know, there's this intimate moment that's all derived from like a meow, or like, you know.
Should have brought those cards in.
Yeah, well, she's only just like launched them, I think.
It's a really cool idea.
But it's such a, you know, unique idea. I
Really
highly
is.
recommend it. I know that they exist elsewhere, but I don't think that they're as good as Tegan's. Just putting it out there. So
Might
little
check them
cheeky
out.
plug.
Yeah, that is a really cool approach, actually. I really like that because I often get stuck with what to do in the posing in terms of easing up. Both really good approaches, guys. Yeah, really like both of them. Yours is clearly a lot more playful, coming back to that child self, right? And yeah, James, you're obviously approaching it like a lot more like a how would you say it, construction of a scene, and you're thinking about the background, you're thinking about the lighting, you're thinking about them though as people.
Yeah, I bring it all in, but it happens quite instinctively as well to a certain degree. Like I couldn't do it without playfulness. I'll definitely be playful after another one of those. That'd be good. But you know, you need that playfulness for sure, because the interaction with your couple, you got to bring the energy.
It's
that you want to
$200 whiskey.
photograph. What's that?
It's $200 whiskey.
Is it?
Special for you, James.
James will have a
You don't-
double.
All right, just straight up, it's fine. Don't mix it with. If it's $200 whiskey, don't mix it with any of the other stuff. Well, whatever's in there's fine now, but yes, it's a banging whiskey. But no, the playfulness helps with the vibe. You know, if you want to have a good experience, people are going to have to have fun. So you kind of need to be that energy that you want your couples to be, because you need to lead by example in those moments. So if you want crazy, you kind of got to be crazy. If you want somber and serious, you kind of embody that. I think he's offering you.
Oh, I'm okay. Actually, no, you know what? I'll have a splash. Thank you. And I'm also just looking for the card name for people.
But yeah, no, like I'm definitely measured, and sometimes it's a little bit restrictive. You know, I've had to teach myself to loosen up a little bit, and you know, maybe photograph in backgrounds and lighting that I wouldn't normally, to get like more variety. So you know, like I think Charli shot 2 or 3 weddings with me, and then she was just like, "Hold my beer, I've got this." And I've second shot with Charli, and I'm like, okay, maybe I don't need to be so anal about stuff and loosen up and just, you know, photograph with some blown out highlights, or photograph just, you know, on different angles, and you know, as long as there's there's some movement and energy to it, it can look good.
Absolutely. So Charlie's style influenced you as a photographer and evolved what you did.
It has, yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's cute.
Yeah, as much as like she says I've influenced
nice,
her,
yeah.
she's done the same in return. Charlie's fresh out of fashion, so all the trends in wedding photography basically come from fashion anyway. So she's already all over it, and she was like, "Oh, this is easy. This is just what I do anyway." But it's just in a situation that is even more meaningful. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, that's super good, guys. I really like how you think about images, both of you guys in your unique ways, but I definitely see similarities across both of your work, which is obviously expected if you've grown influence from each other. It's really nice, really refreshing as well to see what you guys are producing and how true to yourselves you have been over a period of time, I think. So yeah, you're definitely achieving what you're setting out to do. I think
Tell all your friends.
Yeah.
Need the bookings.
It's a tough market, man. It's a tough market at the moment. I think there's a I'm just gonna pop up and fix this. Do you want to take a toilet break?
No, I don't
Yeah.
need to.
Cool. No,
Yeah.
I just need to fix this camera. Sorry, guys.
All good. He's on a side quest.
Cue elevator music.
It's like going to sleep after a certain amount of time, I think. Which is weird.
It's filming and it goes to sleep. It's just
Mate, setting this up is a fucking nightmare.
it sounds like a council worker. He's leaning on his shovel. Is he asleep?
You would not believe how hard this was to set up.
With the extra person? Like, does it normally be one-on-one sort of thing? With the extra,
No, just
it's an extra camera, extra.
No, not you guys, not that at all. It's the wiring it all into here, learning how this works, learning how to live stream it, learning how to get the interface to all sync together with the audio mics, and what I need here was fucked.
There you go. There's a hole in the market, mate.
It's
Invent a product that makes it simple. Sell it to every single podcaster out there.
It's like, yeah, man. It's like, I thought it would be simple, to be entirely honest. I was really like, this would be easy to set up. It would be a great way to market. And then I ended up spending like 40 hours just getting it off the ground. And
like every great idea ever.
Yeah,
That'd be good. Oh, hang on a minute.
Oh, you actually got to put the work in, pulling my hair out. But it's been great, man. I've been loving it. I've been, really having really good conversations. It's been a really good way to get authentic content and putting that out as well. So, it's been good. I think there's definitely an economic slowdown in B2C, business to consumer, which is impacted the wedding photography market a lot. We have let's say generally, people like you were saying 24, 25, 26, 28, 29 getting married around that age, they don't have a lot of spending money, man. It's a tight market. Like salaries in white collar jobs haven't gone up much. Houses have gone up ridiculously in comparison. You're talking about a $800,000, $900,000 house. It's a kind of starting point, and $60,000 to $85,000 salary. It's a big difference. And not only that, the cost of fuel, the cost of food, and I think luxury goods have kind of really taken a hit. Just sad. It's really sad.
I would say that although that wedding photography and everything about weddings really is like a luxury, considered a luxury, I definitely think that like photography is the thing that you shouldn't be stingy on though.
Agree on. I think you're going to regret it.
Yeah, totally. It's actually like my biggest like selling pitch to clients, and like the hook that I like basically have always gotten them with. And it's one that is like purely authentic, and like I absolutely mean it. So it's not like, being a dodgy car salesman and being like, and inserting something just to, like land the deal or whatever. But that is like, you put so much time and effort and money into your wedding. And you think about it for like months or years, and like you planned so many little and big things for one day, and but when that day is over, you are only left with the content from it, and that's it, and the memories, but memories fade too. And so photography, like wedding photography, is an investment that I think is worthwhile more than any other wedding, supplier or, thing or whatever, because of the fact that when everything else fades, the photos are the things that you keep and remember forever and that you can have to look back on.
Yeah, completely agree. I don't think you should cheap out on photography. I think it's
and
just
food as well. Everyone wants good food.
I think it's just a general observation. You're loving that, James, eh?
It's a little easy, sorry. The market is an interesting one, and it's been an area of contention, I think, ever since COVID, because things just changed. But let me tell you now, it is the economy and life is tough everywhere, and Australia is probably one of the most fortunate places in the entire world. So if we're finding it tough, I can guarantee you there is a million other places that are doing it tougher. So, I think at the moment, things have just changed. Tastes have changed. The amount of how discerning people are has changed. The way they're looking at weddings has shifted definitely since COVID. And
What way?
From what people value versus what people feel like they need to do, I think has shifted dramatically to people doing the things that they want to do rather than following tradition. And traditions are great, and if they want to do that, that's awesome as well. But I've shot so many weddings where the format is different these days, or they're leaving out certain things, or they're having things on different days, or they're eloping, or whatever it looks like, or they've been married and now they're just having a party. So the whole thing has shifted. And I think as wedding providers, if we're still trying to put people in boxes and sell them something that they don't want anymore, that's when they'll look elsewhere because it's not suiting their needs. But it is, every market's been tough.
Can we dive into that a little bit more? Because so what were you selling once upon a time that's maybe not being received as well? Is that what you're saying?
No, not so much. I don't have a silver bullet too, because I haven't cracked the code. I thought I had cracked the code, but then all of a sudden I'm getting many less bookings than I used to as well, and
but so am I, and
shifting. But I will take complete ownership over that and know that I haven't been pulling my weight with marketing and keeping up to current marketing strategies.
But
that's my own design.
I've put a lot of money and effort into marketing, and even so, I am taking on less quantity than what I once was. And the reason I'm putting so much time and money into marketing is because I'm seeing that trend, right? It's like I'm seeing a reduced. When I started my business, James DeStefano Photo, in 2021, by 2023, I was focusing on events. I think I did like over 200 events in that 1 year. And like, there's no way I would do that now even with the marketing if I was to purely market events. I just don't think I would get the quantity because people just aren't hosting as many parties as they were post-COVID.
But there's also, 100 other people all wanting the experience and doing it for free as well. Like, it depends what market you're hitting. Like, if it's a low-end market, that vanishes really quick because it's a race to the bottom. Mm-hmm. Establishing yourself, in a different category can be safer, but the upper end of the market is also very competitive, and it's lonely up at the top because there's probably just less weddings with the huge budgets. So space gets competitive. So it's photography is a fantastic hobby to do. It's a great form of communication. Everyone wants to do it because it's a fantastic job, and by design, it's going to be super competitive. So I think if you're marketing yourself in a way that already exists, you're probably already behind the 8 ball, I feel, anyway.
Well said, man.
Because
Yeah.
because everyone's already doing that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and
So you're jumping into a big pond. Like
Yeah.
everyone's doing those same things,
Yep.
and there's probably people that are doing it much better than you. You know, like with whatever they're doing.
Yep.
If it's the same format, and whatever targets, you know, people have already been inundated with that. You know, like. You know, so it is overwhelming. And don't be wrong, I don't have a silver bullet for it. I have not figured it out. Charlie's better at the marketing things for me. Like
marketing's one of those things that never finishes. You're always progressing it, right? You like every week, I look at my posts on Instagram, and I analyze them. I go, what's being received well, what's not being received well. I take the posts that are being received well, and I go, how do we refine them further, and how do we make them get received even better? And I'm making small incremental changes over a period of time until I get that hit. That is that one post that blows up. So I put 40% of my time, maybe 50%, into brand strategy and marketing now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time. I completely teach people how to edit my photos. So I don't edit much anymore. I only review them. I don't publish or edit any of my Instagram posts because I just didn't have the time and nerves to do it. I was too nervous to put the post up, so I had to find someone to do it for me because I could not do it. It was such an anxiety-provoking experience publishing something on Instagram. And then we have another question from Jonathan that I'll bring in a second. The last part of it is I feel like you said, James, it's you're never going to crack the silver bullet. No one knows what's going to work in marketing. I try and communicate this through to a lot of my commercial clients where you're never going to find a one-size-fits-all approach. You always need to be spending money on brand awareness or spending time into getting your name out there. And then nowadays, I think what's more important is having a clearly defined brand, which could also be referred to as a niche, and then funneling people through that and using, I guess, sales tactics that were once upon a time not really brought into photography, because I know that was a big jump for me, was introducing things like a sales funnel, which we could chat a bit more on how I do that if you're interested. But what essentially that means is rather than trying to, once a client gets in touch, I'm always trying to remarket to them through either retargeted ads or through bringing them into my Instagram funnel or just bringing them onto my landing page. And I'm trying to build connection with people straight away through an online platform, which is also really been a really interesting experience and a really interesting endeavor, because I started photography as an artist, like a pure artist. Like if I'll show you my work. You'll like this one, James. I was actually meant to show someone else. Lost my phone. Oh no, I can't show you.
I might just fill in the airtime then.
Yeah, go for it, man.
I think that sales funnel tactic that is superb. I think what stops people to look at content is either it needs to be entertaining, right, or there needs to be value there, or you're solving a problem for them. And it can only be one of those three things. So either you're Jonathan Suckling and providing huge entertainment, or you're giving away information for free. Basically, you're adding value to people. Or you're solving a problem. Right. So you have the product that solves someone's problem. That's basically marketing. That's how you get people in.
That's right.
Right. So, haven't been able to nail it, but I understand that, appealing to wedding clients, you need to have a brand voice that they feel, confident in engaging with to solve their problems. And their problems are, their insecurities, how they look, will all the memories be preserved? Are they going to be Instagram worthy and beautiful? Like you look at all of those things, and if you can address, your target market's concerns, through your brand voice or whatever content you put out, that's what's going to grab people at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think the tactic that I use is I think of motivating factors. So what's going to motivate someone to not purchase my service, and what's going to motivate them to purchase my service? And in a very simple way, I move them from the unmotivated to the motivated. But that's a different stage of the funnel for me. I don't see that as important for my top of funnel marketing, which is my general brand awareness, which would be what you see on my Instagram, which is the value-driven content, which is what you would have done through your awards, more or less. It's like a brand awareness. Like you're putting your work out there to a mass audience, and you're putting it out to an audience that's gonna almost become devoted to it. The thing that I haven't cracked is, how do you transition as a wedding supplier and as a photographer? How do you capture a wedding client specific audience that stays devoted to your work? Because wedding clients aren't photographers, and they're not so interested in the technicalities of photography or the way you might approach your work. They care about the final images, and they care about the final images just before they're about to hire you, but then they usually fall off over a period of time. The photographers are the ones who usually stick around, because that's where your area of expertise is, and that's where you can provide the value.
I have an answer for this.
Yeah, go for it.
If that's okay.
Yeah, you go.
Anniversary shoots. I've kind of try to make them a thing, and I do get bookings for them now.
Yeah, sure.
I think that there are trends that you see evolving in photography and video and things like that. Like, gender reveals weren't really a thing 3 years ago, and now they're a thing. And they also have, when you get married, not only do you have a hens, but you also have a bridal shower as well now. There's two, which is crazy. And you have an engagement party.
Yes.
And then you have the wedding. And then you have the recovery day. And the recovery day wasn't a thing either. So you can create more opportunities that isn't just I may as well target photographers now because they're my other, the competition's viewing me, or, whatever. So I may as well monetize off of that. I've never really had a major, drive to teach photography. I've been asked a lot, but I haven't really done it, a little bit here and there. But if you want to retarget, your wedding clients and not just have them drop off, these people are then going to start families and have babies and, family, grow their family or whatever. So there are opportunities there to retarget them if that's what you're keen on doing, kids and kid photography and that kind of thing. But yeah, also anniversaries, how cool would it be to, do a photo shoot once a year with your husband, to show you guys and your relationship evolving over time. And then all of a sudden, instead of doing a couple's photos once, you do them every single year, and, on weekdays. And maybe for a long time. And, that not only benefits you and your bottom line and, what you find valuable about that experience, but it values them too, because, they've got consistent, what James calls artifacts of their lives. And it shows the evolution of their relationship and their style and their vibe and, where they're living and what their interests are. And that, I think, is a pretty cool idea. And that's something that I've been trying to do. Especially if I'm already booked for a wedding, I'll be have you considered an engagement shoot or a couple shoot, or let me know when your anniversary is and we can do an anniversary shoot during the week. So...
I would challenge you that the wedding client followers are the most important followers. If you want to shoot weddings, they are the ones everyone should be speaking to. It seems to be all caught up with speaking to other photographers to get popularity with photographers and get following, but that really just feeds the ego. Unless you're going to sell online training to photographers, which is, you know, another tricky marketing strategy, which is being done well by a few people already. You know, your wedding clients and speaking to your wedding clients are the most important, hands down, because other photographers are either just going to take your ideas, take your training, and do it for themselves, and that without, you know, selling tickets to a workshop or some online training, like they're not going to give you anything.
You're just creating competitors.
Pretty much.
That's
You know,
that's
you're bringing them
exactly
up
right.
which, you know, sharing information is good.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're not the ones. Well, to be fair, I've shot a lot of wedding photographers' weddings. So maybe it does. But, you know, it's a smaller target market than, you know, the engaged crowd or people that are soon to be engaged. And you really need to identify who your most valuable target market is, because you can have an Instagram account with 1,000 followers, but if they're all engaged couples, I can guarantee you it'll do better than someone with 50,000 followers and they're all, you know, photographers, all aspiring photographers, or other photographers, or wedding photographers, or fake accounts.
This will lead great into my next point about building a brand. I think of brand a little bit differently to you guys, where my approach with branding and marketing, I completely agree with what you guys say. I think you're absolutely right. I think you're way more better off to have followers who are going to purchase from you. That's completely true.
Can I just jump in there and add to this? That the clients that you have shot that follow you on Instagram, they are and will continue to be one of your best sources of new leads. Because if you do a good job and look after those people, they will tell 10 of their friends. And if they're in that age bracket of everyone getting married, you know, they've got 10 friends, probably all, you know, having weddings. And if they sing your praises, that is highly targeted free marketing. And referrals are the strongest form of marketing.
That's correct, yeah.
You know, you can have the highest Google rating, website and page number 1, 1 million followers, all that sort of stuff. But it is in the sea with the rest of them as well. But if someone's best friend says, James Di Stefano, sorry.
Almost there.
Is a weapon, and we love what he does. He looked after us and gave us all these beautiful shots. That's almost a shoo-in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fallacy. Like, she'll call you be ready to book.
Correct. I think referrals are the strongest way you can get bookings. I agree. I think wedding couples are the most effective people to target. Completely agree. I think I just position both of those at different stages of my funnel, if that makes sense. So I kind of try and divide it a little bit more, where I target. How much do I reveal?
All of it.
People only take 10% of what you say, right? So.
Because I put a lot of time into developing this strategy, and it's worked really well, I think, and I'm really happy with it. But I think what I do to target couples specifically and get reach to them is paid ads. I do a lot of paid ads to specifically target them, and I think that's the most, like, I would never spend money to target photographers. Like, that's just silly, you know? Like, why would you? They're not going to buy from you.
Mm-hmm.
But what photography? So the Instagram algorithm works on attention and how long people engage with your post. People engage with your post more if you're saying something that other people aren't saying, and you're providing them with something that they haven't heard before. So in a way, yes, you're giving away your tips for free, but that gives you attention. And I think attention's invaluable. I think attention can come from anyone. It can come from, it doesn't need to be specifically from a wedding client, but that's brand awareness. It's personal branding. It's how do other professionals perceive you? How do they interact with you? And then how are the couples who are seeing your paid ads and visiting your Instagram account viewing other professionals interacting with your work? And there's a psychological switch just based on the number of followers you have. And if you get that base and you get that strong foundation, I feel like the paid marketing gets a lot easier. So that's kind of how I've been thinking about it. So I'm not necessarily trying to sell to photographers, but
You could just buy a bunch of followers though, right?
Yeah, but then the algorithm hates you.
yeah,
I hope so, because that shit infuriates me.
yeah, don't want to buy followers. But I spend money on Instagram in different ways. So I spend money by paying a casual to put the content up and to edit the content. I spend money on marketing through meta ads. $40 a day I spend.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. Equates to about, I think every lead costs about $80. So you spend $80, you get a lead, something around there.
And lead is an inquiry.
Inquiry.
What's your conversion rate?
Pretty
Mm.
good. Yeah, pretty good. 50, maybe.
That's good.
Yeah,
so
40.
So each booking costs you 160.
300. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. You do the maths.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a numbers game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's really interesting, but I think that's how it's done. So this marketing course I did with Where You, run by Brandon, he said he spends like 5 to 10 grand a day. Something ridiculous, like just absurd amounts of money. He runs a marketing course. He had 30 people in that course and he charged each one between 4 and 4.5 grand, and he runs 2 a month.
Oh, just ask Jai Long about spending money on paid ads.
Yeah.
He'll tell you it's worth every cent.
Yeah.
So,
I get, if it's not from
Crazy.
like my previous couples, and if it's not from like the network that I'd had prior to, debuting myself as pretty much just a wedding photographer, so through the fashion and beauty industry, all of my leads come through Instagram ads as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and I find like it works really, really well.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a very I get lots of inquiries and a very high conversion rate when they're on, because I always like just leave it and then it will like turn off by itself, and I'm like, and then I've like will barely get any inquiries, or like, in comparison to what I get when the paid ads are on, it's like through the roof, and I can't keep up with the emails like to send them. And then when they go off, I'm like, oh my God, I haven't had an inquiry in like 3 days. Like, I wonder why. And then I'll check and the Instagram ads off, and I'm like, that's why.
Is it inbox or is it email?
It's both. Yeah, mostly like Instagram. I get a lot of inquiries through Instagram. So
she's good on the marketing chat.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. I completely agree. I think it's definitely it's worth the return on investment if you do it right. I think definitely it's not just the marketing though, because both yourself and James have quite established brands as well, personal brands. It's your Instagram account in a way is your personal brand, which both have high amount of followers, both have other photographers commenting on your work, saying how amazing it is. Like couples visit and they look at that stuff, like that's part of the reason that allows you to build what you would consider a luxury name for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do love when photographers like, credit and other people's work, like other photographers' work. I think it's super nice. And humble of them as well, because it's so easy just to look at an amazing photo and be like, oh, like that's so good, but like not actually say anything about it. So when another photographer is like, oh my God, this is epic, or like, babe, I love that shot, or like, well done, or whatever, I'm just like, yes, like it's so cool when you guys can be like direct competitors but also be friends. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I really love it.
Yeah, it's great, and I think yeah, I really value that part of social media. I think social media is a really powerful tool to have those interactions with people. I think it's really hard to funnel that effort and do it in an efficient and correct way. And I don't think there's ever a kind of point where you're ever going to become entirely satisfied or actually know that you're doing the right thing. And really, I'm just winging it every day. You know, I'm just if it's working, I keep doing it, and if it's not working, I try and stop doing it. But yeah.
I also think that with what you say, like with that, is that I do think that it's important to have certain goals and goalposts that don't move. I mean, they might change slightly or they might change altogether, but I think that it's important to have some goals and goalposts that don't ever move.
What do you mean by goalposts?
Well, you know, whether... Oh, sorry. Comfortable to answer that question. You know, like, I think that, you know,
help
money...
yourself, James, if you... Help yourself, man. Seriously, yeah, go for it.
Money and validation.
It's not the afternoon, guys.
Just drink it from the bottle, babe.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I think like success can be like an insatiable pursuit. And I think that you could literally just hustle until you died and not actually like smell the roses or enjoy, you know, any of it, or reap the rewards of all of your hard work. So I think that another question is like, when is it enough? And, you know, like you can always work harder to become better at what you do, and you could never want to stop. And so you could continue to do that. But I think having a mindset of like, I'm not there yet, or like I haven't nailed it, can actually be really destructive for your like you emotionally.
Because you'll never get there.
You'll never get there.
Yeah,
there.
And yeah, yeah, that's right. I think of it. I'm going to ask you guys a question. I'll say what I think first, but I think of it as like a puzzle, and that's how I kind of try and stay sane with it. You know, it's like I'm just I'm trying out pieces, seeing what fits, seeing what doesn't fit, and I'm creating this picture. And over time, I build on it, and I take some things out and I put it together, and I'm trying to make something that, you know, I resonate with really well. And that's how I kind of try and stay true to it. Not everything's going to work, and that's all right. And some things might work really well, and they might stay in the picture, and they might be a part of it. But ultimately, I don't know how it's going to look in the end. And I'm just kind of, you know, trying out different things until I have this situation that you know, it's really satisfying. I think it's the ultimate goal, where it's not only doing what you love, but for me it's also giving back to the community as well. It's pretty big for me. I really like teaching people, so doing that as well is really important to me. So it's kind of trying to like find what's important and somehow get it into this picture and make it work in an efficient way, so I'm not burning out. Because that's the other thing that I learned as a social worker, was that burnout is really real, and you need to be really careful when you're coming into a business industry that you can burn yourself out from working too hard and from working too much. I have had episodes of burnout before, and it's definitely not something I want to do again. For you guys, I forgot my question now.
Well, you've just summarised the game of life.
Thank you, man.
And all of the experiences that you've dove into and learnt from and tweaked and changed, that's really valuable, you know, experience, which will make you the expert with all of those things as well. So that is life in general, right? We spend a lifetime playing with different ideas, different things, seeing what fits, seeing what works, until we can find stuff that really fits and where we feel comfortable with, and is kind of, you know, part of our value set and what makes us authentic in that. And that's really valuable, all those experiences. And constantly refining is part of that process, part of those, the stepping stones to success, I suppose. You know, success is just a path disguised in failure.
Failure, you do not have success unless you have failure, in my opinion.
How else do you learn?
How else do you learn?
And you only really fail if you quit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I heard a really good quote recently, and I don't remember it, but I'll look it up and then I'll interrupt you when I found it.
Yeah. I've heard a few really good ones recently that I've been living by. The first is if you never swing, you'll never hit a home run. So you always try your hardest, always try things out and see what works and see what
Here
doesn't.
it is. It says, "Don't call me lucky. I failed more times than you tried."
There you go. Yeah,
And I like that.
awesome.
It's a bit
That's
cheeky,
great.
but
No,
I still like it.
that's very true. That's very true. You need to try things out, and you need to fail in order to grow. What's up, David? Thanks for jumping in, man. How are you going?
What's up, David?
Yeah, it's
Davo.
DB David Broadway is maybe start over again. Okay, I'm just going to bring one community question in. If you had to start all over again in today's world with just one camera, one lens, and zero reputation, what exact steps would you take in the next 12 months to become successful? So there you go. We're back to that word of successful. I'm gonna ask this question, then I'm gonna get you guys to
I would throw the camera into a lake, and then wander into the bush, practice some meditation, ground myself, hug a tree, and learn how to live off the land.
There you go. Wow.
Well, like, what's success? What are we talking? Like, are we making $1 million in 12 months, or like, are we shooting one wedding? What's the version of success that, what's the goal? What's the goalpost?
Let's ask that question first. What is success for you? Have you had burnout before? Have you experienced burnout?
My version of success is so different now to when I first started photography. It's a joke. My version of success now is finding inner peace and harmony, and building a life that I love by being able to do the things that I value the most. And photography is a small element of that. Surfing's a big one, but our family is one of the biggest. And helping people, creating community, having good connections and relationships, re-establishing relationships with family, even like all of those things mean more success to me now than huge dollar value.
And cooking a mean steak every now and again.
Yeah, good food. Like money does often give us the freedom to be able to do things like that as well. So
money's important, but it's not everything, right?
Absolutely not. Yeah. And all we have is the present moment, right? We can think of things to do that will benefit us eventually, or like in the future, but it's all present moment decisions that we make, to lay the stepping stones out that will alter our future present moment. So once we get to that future, it's our new present, and all we've done is manipulate what our present moment looks like. So you make the decisions in now, and what I've learned is we really need to be content and happy with what we've got now. Like, we've got more than enough now. Like, we need to be happy with that. And if we're content and grateful for what we've got in this present moment, we can take ourselves out of falling into that void of not having enough, or not being there yet, or wanting to achieve more.
Scarcity.
And like, if we look around now, it's like we're blessed. Like, we are blessed. We have everything that we need. We've got food on the table. We've got a beautiful house. We've got kids. Like, what more do you want? And yes, you can try and set yourself up for financial freedom when you're old, or something like that. But if you don't stop to enjoy yourself in this present moment, you're going to get to that point where you're old and then be like, fuck, I should have saved another $100,000, and still not be content. And then you've just lived a whole life of being worried and being stressed and like feeling like you're not enough. And like, let's just relax a little bit and enjoy what we're doing now.
Yeah, man, that's really well said.
So, if I had one camera, one lens, I'd go and shoot the things that moved me and move other people potentially, and hone my skill into, doing something that has a beautiful creative expression. And if I needed to wash dishes to support that, I'd do that. If, in creating beautiful artwork, you found a beautiful community that supported you, you could do that. And then, when you had enough skill with that one camera and one lens, and you found a beautiful community of people around you, chances are, you can do a favor for someone and go, oh, you're running this really cool business. Let me take some photos for you. And they're like, well, in return, I'll give you, some of this product or whatever they're doing, and then gradually that organic, relationship and that organic approach goes through your network. And all of a sudden, there's someone getting married and you're like, great, I'll shoot your wedding. And then they've got friends, and then they've got friends. And then if you become the biggest legend in that community of people, they all sing your praises. And that's the organic business approach. Like you grow it through your immediate network. You don't even have to look into the big pond. You don't have to start throwing money into the Facebook machine like everyone else, because what you've got is unique to you. Your skill set, your eye, your relationships, it's all unique to you. And if you use those things, and I don't mean use them, like exploit them, but if you lean into those things, like no one else can. No one else can take those away from you, because your experiences and your relationships are uniquely your own. And that's where you need to start. And that's all you need to do is be the best person you can be the best friend you can be the best son, be the best daughter, whatever that looks like. But if you are a good person, people will have your best interests at heart too. And that could just be like, oh yeah, I've got a friend, James. He's a weapon with photos. If you need photos done for your restaurant or for your whatever it is, go see him. And that's it's free marketing. So look after people, do a good job. That would be my best advice if you're starting with one camera and no skill.
That's awesome, man.
And don't listen to haters. No.
Do your own thing, yeah.
Do your own thing, yeah.
I mean, it's important to listen to feedback.
Feedback's one thing, but yeah, I think
also I think a feedback is feed forward.
Feed forward.
Well, that's it. Like feedback can be hard to handle sometimes, especially if it's critical. And I think that's where I started to misalign with some of the awards. I think when I started entering the awards, I loved listening to those judges talk about images, and then I ended up becoming a judge, and I would love talking about these images. And then there was a certain point where, some of the opinions of people that were talking about my work, I really didn't connect with anymore, because I was like, wow, I think they're missing the whole point here. And that's when I kind of went, okay, this is not for me anymore.
What were they missing?
This is a bit of a minefield. No, I maybe didn't value what they were saying. Didn't connect with it. It didn't seem relevant. And I was probably passing an opinion based on their profession. They may not have been current wedding photographers. They may be from a different discipline, and didn't feel like they were experts in that field to be giving that feedback. So I didn't value it. And when you have someone that you feel like isn't the authority to hear feedback, it can be really hard. And I mean, I haven't thought of this for a long time, but that's definitely an ego-based judgment that was made at those points, because all those people's points are valid, because they have valid positions and experiences, and just because I didn't connect with it doesn't make it completely incorrect and shouldn't have been disregarded. But in that moment, my 10-year ago self was like, this is bullshit. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I'm out of here. Screw you guys. I know better than everyone, so that's an ego thing, but it is hard to handle but if you respect someone, like if you are open and you respect someone, their feedback will mean something to you, despite whether if it's on point or not, because you'll draw something from a place of respect. And I think at that point I was like, I don't really feel like these people should be looking at my work, to be honest. And I just kind of lost faith with that system, because it just didn't seem like the perfect scenario. But there never is.
I think a lot of the awards have fallen apart mostly now. Like, I don't really hear about them a lot. I think they're handed out too much, you know.
Yeah, so there's some good online ones. And well, the ARPP went into administration shortly after I exited the not that it was my fault. It had its own issues because it starts off as a volunteer thing, then it becomes a company. You know, and all of a sudden, you know, but they were trying to do good things, and then that was dissolved, and there was a lot of crap, a lot of fallout from that.
It seems like you spotted some red flags, and you didn't feel comfortable with it. You felt uneasy about it, and maybe at the time you didn't know how to deal with the feelings or deal with the problems you were seeing.
That was more just the competition judging scenario, and they were doing the best that they could, and you know, they were providing an experience for people which was amazing. It was amazing, and I'm not trying to take away from all of that. It was just where I was at, you know, and where their resources were at the time. It was just a little bit different, malaligned. But that fell apart, and that whole platform and that network kind of was lost. There's the WA, there is a group of WA people of similar ilk that are trying to do stuff they are doing, you know, the print awards still, the Olaf Awards or the Ilford Awards or something. Well, it's West Australian Pro Photography based awards.
There are a few people that are trying to do it again. It'd be cool. It'd be cool to get something really reputable happening again.
Yeah, and they're doing a good job. Unfortunately, the way that the more younger crew and especially wedding photographers perceive that stuff is that it's not for them, basically, and it doesn't really align with, I guess, the new generation of people, and the new generation have kind of ignored it, I suppose, or it doesn't appeal to them, where there is there's some beauty in it, and they keep asking me to judge, and I keep looking at the dates, and I'm like, I'm never here when you want me to judge, or I'm shooting a wedding. So, you know, I haven't gone back down that path, but the online awards thing is an absolute minefield because they are businesses, and you know, they're self-appointed.
That's right. Yeah.
Like, here's, you know, World Photographer of the Year awards.
I completely agree with that, man. It's true. When you have a organization that has self-appointed judges that does need to make money, it can create a system that is really hard to manage and really hard to actually get off the ground, even, you know, at a reputable way. I think it's really difficult to do. I would love to produce work that I could put into awards. I just don't know if there's any that is probably worth the time. Hey, like,
it's a massive game to play because you need to understand what those judges are looking for.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and it will come down to their taste
as well.
Right, and that's the problem. Like, if they're not current, you could be producing the most on trend work that's pure fire. But if you've got someone that doesn't align with it or doesn't think that that's special, you know, they pass an opinion.
That's right.
And it's like, well, okay, what's that really worth?
You guys are going to have to go, eh?
Yeah, I was just nudging him a little bit.
Checking the time. Let's wrap it up, guys. I think we've gone for ages. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, this is like a Rogan 3-hour sort of thing.
It is a Rogan 3-hour conversation.
Started talking about stammets.
Let's end it on a note. Maybe
So that's a bit of a rant at the end there about awards. But I guess my big concern is, like, every single magazine, every single, like, wedding brand, every single blog now, like, I get emails every day saying, would you like to be considered as one of our top 10 photographers in Perth? And I'm like, it's a pay-to-play thing. And it's like, oh my God, this is hectic.
It's hectic, man.
Everyone wants some money. And, like, if you give them money, they'll call you the best photographer in the planet. It's just like, fuck me.
It's true, man. It's true, and it's really upsetting to see that. Let me show you my early artwork, and then we can wrap it up. This art piece that I did talks about my experience of consciousness. You have to zoom into it, so just double click it. It talks about the layers of consciousness and how they interrelate to each other. There's like
we vibe with that.
3 photos stitched together, and then the photos are printed onto see-through paper and then rephotographed. So just zoom it in and then flick it across from left to right. And we're just about to wrap it up, guys. We have a few viewers in here at the moment. Looks like we have 4 viewers in. Broadway says burnout is just sacrifice. So if anyone else has any kind of final remarks before we wrap it up with James Simmons and Charli here as well. Yeah.
That's awesome, mate.
Thank you, man.
I
Really
did
cool.
the boomer thing and swiped off it.
Thank you, man. I used to do a lot of that stuff, produce a lot of artistic work early on. So having that transition into business was really difficult. For me, but it's something that I put all my time and effort into because it was I felt like if I was going to make a living in photography, 2025, 2023, whatever it was, when I was like going to go full time, it was very much I need to make money, and it's really hard to make money, so you need to learn how to do it, and it was a weird kind of jump. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been spending a lot of my time on. It's not all about money; it's always about passion and always about what you're doing, but you got to live, you got to live. You have to, be able to pay the bills. So that's kind of where I'm at. Any questions? I don't think so. So I think we're pretty good to wrap it up. Do you guys want to say any final remarks before we finish off?
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
My pleasure, man.
For anyone that cares and has listened all the way to the end, congratulations.
I'm sure there will be some people.
Be authentic to yourself. And do what's right for you. Don't measure your success against anyone else's, and you will have a great life.
Yeah.
Take this guy's advice. James, you've been an inspiration to me. You've been an inspiration to many other photographers. You've done really amazing work. You're doing good. You do good things, man. You're a good person. I really appreciate you coming on. It's a bit surreal to think, I was looking at your work as a young university student, and now I'm chatting with you, having whiskey. Pretty cool. All right, so let's wrap it up. Charli, any final remarks? Otherwise, outro song, and we're good to go.
Cue the song.
All right.
Drum roll.